Hello Internet, I'm Feral, and here's the update parody for the July 2018 multiplayer update. It's been almost 4 months since the last update, and the Keen team have been quite busy engineers behind the scene, with an unprecedented reaching out to the community through multiplayer betas and solicited feedback. The result is that with this update, we have little to complain about. For the most part, Space Engineers is doing quite well, if you avoid the parking brake with rovers. Not exactly what sure has turned the parking brake into an RNG rover detonator and drunken autopilot, but it is definitely an issue. And at the same time, an obnoxious bug that seems to be connected to the shadow level of detail when set to high also seems to be rearing its ugly head from time to time. But you'll note that the list of fixes for this update is longer than my arm. And while the update is a multiplayer update, it has proven beneficial to single player as well. To a point, yes, except that the multiplayer beta and now this release, I've built 7 rovers, 4 of which have exploded for no reason while sitting there parked. And that's a rather abysmal success ratio. And I suppose in your perfect world, cars don't break down over time, do they? Well, true, but most cars don't randomly try to launch themselves to orbit either. Now that we know that Keen giveth and taketh away, and this update is no exception, here we go. Under standard multiplayer settings, airtightness, programmable blocks, scripting, and all mods are not allowed. Yes, that's right, for those of you who are not fans of the default skybox, you can't mod it away under those restrictions. The devs defend the decision to do this with the explanation that these are features that were added to the game and need further review, with the intent that not all features in experimental mode will remain that way forever. It's a reasonable way to deal with the problem of lag and performance in the game, but at the same time I can't help but feel as if everything in experimental mode has just been put on death row awaiting execution. You mean to say that being re-evaluated in ongoing efforts is resolving multiplayer issues with these features will require more time and attention? Which is why I also suppose that the trailer footage was also not actually multiplayer footage, but recorded using the replay tool. That is why it says in the blog that the footage resembles multiplayer as opposed to actual multiplayer, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. And that's really the kind of whole point with this update. Things are better. Not best, but better. And one reason why multiplayer has been better is by running it on dedicated servers, but you're not going to find good, cheap hosting for that kind of horsepower that the game needs. Which means that multiplayer servers capable of hosting 16+ players are probably going to be few and far between. And as for hosting on your own computer, well, it remains possible in experimental mode, but just don't be able to plan on playing Space Engineers on the same system at the same time. So if the dedicated server and the client don't run well together, then what does this also mean for the future of the client-hosted game? We'll see in the coming months as Keen is directing the next patch in the direction of content balancing and...
Let's face it, you're just putting off my big debut.
And her. Yeah, so Keen has finally decided to add ladies to the realm of Space Engineers, which is a welcome and overdue change, and the model for it, at least by my eye, has been well and tastefully done. And hopefully saying that I just haven't offended folks, so we'll just say thank you, Keen, and call it an end to this update. And what do we say? Right. Keen deserves some thanks for this update. Experimental mode aside, with the right server, this has been the best multiplayer experience the game has seen ever. And yes, that includes the recommendation that if you've tried Space Engineers multiplayer in the past and have not been a fan of it, give it a shot now. I suspect you'll find yourself pleasantly surprised. But you may want to keep your rovers parked somewhere level with the parking brake off when you're not using it. See you guys in the next update parody.